All right. Video number one. I got videos to make. I got a little time. Let's go. Okay. So, first video I wanted to make, I think was going to be about, um, let's do, the forgiveness one first. So, I thought about this little forgiveness tutorial because I was listening to something the other day and I was listening to this person describe, they felt like they had a gift of forgiveness. And this is somebody who had been through many, 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 many things, many more things than I have been through. But I started to think about that. And, is that a thing? And, why not? But honestly, you just have to observe in your life the things that you are just more apt at, and you don't need really any sort of tutorial. Certainly you can perfect your gifts, but they kind of already come with a certain type of understanding that other people who don't have those gifts struggle with. So, we have no problem saying that pointing out the gifts that we would consider natural gifts. If you're a visual artist or something, that it's like, okay, clearly this is your gift. But when it comes to things that are spiritual, it's like, well, where's that in the word? Blah, blah, blah. Where's any of it in the word, guys? Like, and this is where you get this weird ghettoized thing of certain things that belong in Bible land and certain things that don't, and the things that don't belong in Bible land don't carry the same scrutiny as the things that do, and it just becomes ridiculous. But that's a topic for another video, literally, because that's kind of what I was going to talk about in another video. So just for any folks out there that find it hard to forgive, I don't know if this is going to be like 5 tips on how to forgive, but just there's some advice things that that help me, and I'm just passing them on here. So, first of all, forgiveness for me has always been a non-negotiable, something that has to be done. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. So, anyways, so I think for me, like pretty much since I've ever remembered having to do this, forgiveness has always been, a obvious thing to me and kind of a no-brainer. Like, you have to forgive someone, and I think I always understood that forgiveness is not an earthly situation. It's for eternity. So it never really made sense to not forgive someone and not let it go. And I think a lot of forgiveness issues are um, tied directly to your allegiance to this world, and just thinking that it's real and it has more merit than it does, and you're just so caught up in this existence that it's causing you to um, need to feel like you need to hold things against people and have grudges and stuff. And take that with a grain of salt. It's not like I've never done more than a very shallow wade in the pool of life's whatevers. So with that, I've never experienced any sort of like what I would consider like deep betrayals that are just incredibly hard. I never had someone, even something that, you think about things that happen accidentally. Someone your house accidentally gets burned down and everyone in the house dies because of that, because someone was sleeping, because someone was smoking or left this on or whatever. Like these things that happen, and as a result of those things happening, those are directly related to someone's actions, and you just have to, the idea that you're going to be able to just forgive those people right away. You're going to hyper focus on the fact that if somebody hadn't done something, your life would still be the same, and having that type of stuff sort of determined by someone else's actions. That's all really hard, and no one is expecting you to like um, get over that right away and just be like, well, just forgive. But what's really funny is that the people who seem to have the most problem with that with forgiveness, it's not even that. It's some like crazy thing about how someone talked bad about you, and then it's like hardly ever one of these like super super uh soul stretching moments. So uh yeah, I think that it's very telling when you're not able to forgive people in these very, very small situations. I mean, that's an indication of a larger problem within you, first of all. But even in the most legitimate of scenarios, um, I just, when you don't have such a tether to this world, it's a lot easier. When you realize that you're going to go on forever and this 80 years, uh, it's my advice as a whole is just to kind of keep an open palm over everything and don't hold on to anything too tightly. You've built your thing from the ground up, and you don't want to let it go. It's like just, yeah, you did it your own blood, sweat, and tears. No one helped you. Like, I get it. But just always have in the back of your mind that, like, this is not, God can do anything at any point. And you're talking to someone who absolutely hates to have to start over, and um, like being a writer of books and stuff like that. Like I remember one time I lost a lot of data, or I lost a lot of material that I had was using, and it took me a long time to get over. It was nobody's fault, but really mine, and my computer and stuff. But like that type of stuff is just, I absolutely hate that. And it literally debilitates me. Like I had when I was trying to teach myself piano, I had this whole book that I was writing things down in, like little things, because I would look up like music theory and stuff that I felt like would help me understand what I was doing. And so I had all of these little things that I had written down. And between one of the moves, I lost that notebook. And I literally, every time I think about it, like I don't pretty much don't play anymore because I'm so upset that I lost that thing that I had accumulated all that stuff in, and I don't have that as a reference, as a guide, and there's no way I'm going to be able to recreate whatever I was writing down. So yeah, I'm a hot mess in a lot of ways, but I I kind of think of it like um if you ever watch like a show, if you ever watch, I don't know what you would call it, but like a panel with like, if you had like a popular show like Comic-Con or something, and everyone's on the panel, and every character. I remember specifically The Wire. It was like one of the seasons of The Wire, and where the villains were just like super scary. It was like Snoop and like whoever the guy was who was like the hitman. They sent the guy out, and he was like extra scary and like evil. and like a couple other people. And I remember watching a panel with them, and the guy who played the hitman was just like this super like sweet guy who was just like talking about how his character was and stuff. And I remember specifically in that moment being like, this is what heaven's going to be like. Like, we're just going to reflect, you might have really had low key been a serial killer. And then, or high key been a serial killer. It might be Jeffrey Dahmer. Because he accepted Christ in prison. And then he's just up there. And people are like, you were something else, man. And he's going to be like, yeah, I was. But it was because of this and that and that. And he's just going to be able to tell you. Because, like, when you watch those panels and you watch people who play these characters, good or bad, and they're just like these phenomenal, amazing characters that make such an impact on your life. And they're sitting there and they're reflecting on, because they had to be that character, they had to be that person. So they really thought about and researched and empathized and sympathized with that person to play that person. So even when you have somebody that's just an absolute monster, they can break down like, well, this is what this was the only, source of whatever in their lives, or this is why they did this, or this is, and everyone just finds it interesting and impactful and cool. Like, and there's no threat, there's no harm, there's no, it's a TV show. Like, it was an exercise that was like entertaining and thrilling, and like, how did you write this? This is amazing. And like, it reminds us of things in real life or whatever. So that's what you want the afterlife situation to be. Like, if that person, if we're talking about forgiveness, it's the likelihood that person is going to be with you. So, and a couple instances where maybe they won't, but either way, you got to be able to have these sort of reflective conversations. And I don't know if there's been that much talk about, I talk a lot about near-death experiences, and there's not that much talk about, people having conversations about what happened on Earth.